Custom House is a definite community because it's smaller than, like, say, Canning Town. People know each other a lot more.
Yeah, like you meet so many different young people every day, so many inspiring people. Walk down the streets, people say hi. So when you go to the shop, it's very friendly, it's just open.
Custom House has an amazing community, but there is no community centre to support this. Currently, Civic is undergoing an experiment by using a shopfront on Freemasons Road as a temporary hub for residents to meet and facilitate different services. However, this has not been easy. In fact, 1/3 of London's community centres face closures within 6 months, including this one. So, why is it that so many of them have become tired and underwhelming places? I was curious to find out more. First, we have to go back in time. After World War II, we saw a transition from using these centres as essential amenities into educational and social spaces in the 60s. Following Thatcher's cutbacks, these community centres have made themselves more self-sufficient by turning into event venues or bars. This has brought us to today, where we find apathetic community centres like the empty Kundi Centre in Custom House. Halima, Zeena and I found a need to explore this further, and for me, this was in finding a successful participatory process that was conscientious and courageous. I was curious to find something beyond people standing in front of boards, next to men in suits, as the first thing that comes to mind. My childhood was heavily influenced by my participation in my local community centre in Hong Kong, where I met many friends through numerous organised activities. I spoke with a few of my friends from my community centre to further understand how their participation led to impactful outcomes, how this was beyond what was provided, differing from what was remembered. These spaces away from home where people meet, engage with each other and inspire further action. The community centres allowed for such interactions to take place in order to inspire change-making action. We can now investigate the events in the past year that allowed for participation to happen in Custom House. First, Civic established local connections. Jonathan and Nikita meet Scarlett, a key community member. They introduce us to her fruit and vegetable box local distribution service. Meeting with Scarlett week after week, we discuss her current business model and also offer our skills by organising weekly branding workshops to help her expand the business. This gains trust from the Civic team, and we are invited to offer our skills and reach out to more members of the community at the Civic School of Digital Branding. We become more involved on site, particularly with Spike's toy library that had gained popularity and trust, leading us to enact more action and invite more participation. Working together with Scarlett side by side, we discussed the idea to implement a community van. We learned to develop financial and governance models alongside Scarlett, Civic, and the community, which builds our collective confidence. From these experiences, I have gathered my secret ingredients for participation that I hope to share for others looking to start this process for their own community. 3 makes a team, good things come in trios. The triangular bond encourages group conversations rather than one-to-one confrontations, and also breaks the deadlock in decision-making, leading to more efficiency without compromising on direct connections. Thanks to these connections, we were able to learn alongside Scarlett. We identified her as an unexpected changemaker with special qualities of hope and action, and wanted to learn from her methods of community participation.
When the second lockdown came in, with all the panic buying, people that were struggling to get fresh fruit and veg at a reasonable price. Andre, another local person that's recently been made redundant, so he comes in, he'll open up for Jim the grocer to come drop off the fruit and veg, and then we'll make up the boxes for everyone.
From this process, we found another key ingredient: time. Take your time, show up every time. By speaking with Scarlett, we were able to identify core needs of the community and foresaw the need to make the business future-proof. We helped develop her boxes beyond the limits of the shop and perhaps into a multi-million business. Using a consistent 30-day plan, we organised weekly branding workshops, at the same time learning alongside her by identifying her process of using casual conversations to meet other community changemakers. We identified her network that was built slowly over time and mapped out their connections to understand each participant under the larger picture. From this, we saw beyond qualities of hope, action, and unexpected in how communities created the conditions for changemaking to succeed. From Pilot 1, we took away the importance to exchange gifts. Offer something first, such as skills or knowledge, before you seek to learn something in return.
I've been admiring what you've done with Scarlett, and I wanted to integrate your skill sets and get you guys to do this with a couple of our projects. Our ambition is to take 10 projects or leaders on a journey from very limited digital feasibility or skills over 3 days to be digitally present, visible, and have built some skill set.
Our business in 5 ways: friendly, ethical, sustainable, efficient, and exciting.
About finding a person's inner talent, what they're really good at.
I'm really happy to be part of this, have a vision for my business.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
From exchanging gifts, we could begin to see what real participation looked like, where the design process was more important than the product, shifting the authentic decision-making power to locals. This started with the community of Custom House, within which the community van project came into fruition, the idea having come from conversations between people at the core of the process. We learned that participation is done side by side, not face to face.
Yeah, like having a van, I think there's so much you can do. You can literally take it out throughout Newham. Feed the homeless, go around and do activities, counselling sessions.
Maybe do medical treatments, maybe hairdressing from a van. No, there's so much you could do with that, just that little space.
We would sell food. Curry chicken and rice and peas, dal and roti. Well, it depends on the size of the van, yeah?
This brought on the vision of a multi-purpose community van, and so brought up more questions on costing. Scarlett hired one person to help her make 50 boxes. This would cost her £100 a day. If she wanted 100 boxes, she would need to hire another person that would cost her another £100. However, as this goes on, once Scarlett hires 5 people, she would need to hire another manager to look after the other 5 employees, and she would need another senior manager to look after every 5 managers. This is what an economist would call the middle management paradox, as evidence shows that expanding Scarlett's singular business is counterproductive. At the same time, Scarlett would be losing money if she was making 500 boxes for a single community, demonstrated by what is called market saturation. Instead, we learnt that Scarlett can make more connections through a shared governance model and encourage others to follow a similar approach in multiple locations around Newham, in sizes that would not require middle managers. Demand for boxes would then be high in each individual shop. The model built our collective confidence, and we began fundraising for a community van that has raised more than £3,000 so far. Getting people to be involved in the design process is no easy feat. Lower the risk and higher the reward. No risk scenarios encourages participation, and borrowing the reward as a tool inspires action. I came up with 2 complementary ways to go about participation. Light participation, involving play, drawing, interacting with children to figure out how something looks, working with heavy participation, involving deeper conversations about imagining what something is and how it would feel to be inside it. These were useful tools to encourage community interactions in order to have the important conversations. The van was imagined to follow a different day-to-day schedule, for different user groups to be using the van to its maximum potential. Using feedback from side-by-side interactions in both light and heavy participation, a brief was developed using experience from the first 2 pilots. Simultaneously, we developed a van program adapted for different users on this schedule as well. Lastly, but most importantly, embrace for conflict. As you earn more trust, more things will be thrown your way. Conflict is necessary for making progress and may happen at any moment. As the fundraiser started to build up, the stakes also became higher. This resulted in a personal conflict between 2 members of the community that we had to resolve. Kaysey voiced her objections to the van as she knew that Scarlett owned a house and was not taking a loan for her business. On the other hand, Scarlett believed that this was a personal attack as the project was from her hard work for her community. We had many discussions with both parties about the intention and use of the van. We learned through conflict that ownership, governance, and leadership are important for building long-lasting solutions, particularly for a community centre that values active participation. Following many discussions with the wider community and the Civic team, the collective has agreed to give the van's temporary ownership to Civic that is slowly released to the collective, governed by 6 to 8 individual stakeholders, and 1 project manager overseeing the whole operation.
I know Custom House is hard with shared ownership and shared whatever, but I think if we make it illegal, like a member-owned van, we'll get past the mentality thing. They'll take care of it and they'll help manage it.
Using these ingredients, we can place our best foot forward for successful participation that is conscientious and courageous, placing the needs of people within the community above all else. This knowledge could potentially benefit other communities looking to do the same, acknowledging that everyone's journey goes through different hurdles. A year ago, Custom House did not have a functioning community centre, but because of the participatory design process, the community has grown from being tired to animated. People's imaginations and confidence have been cultivated to where they are eager to share ideas with real participation and involvement. If that is what it takes to make the impossible possible in the space of a year, what leap could we take next to discover even more secret ingredients to participatory design?